This is Trinesha Catrell, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I'm so grateful to have you here on this journey of empowerment and self-discovery with me. In today's video, we're going to talk about RESPCT. We're going to talk about, is your respect up to par? But before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more empowering, uplifting content like this. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. So, what made me want to talk about respect is earlier today, I'm always listening to sermons. I'm always trying to expand my horizon, just grow my emotional intelligence, learn new stuff about myself, and learn new ways to just become a better person. You know, I'm not always perfect, much like every human on this earth, and I'm always looking for ways to improve and become a better person. And so as I'm growing, as I'm learning different techniques. I'm learning different strategies. I'm learning more about myself, about the things that I like and I don't like, the things that I want and I don't want, the things that I need in my life and that are necessary, and the things that are just preferences. And as I journey through this waiting season, through this development season, through this process that God has me in, through the pruning, through the prodding, the sculpting that's happening within me, I'm starting to learn more and more about myself, more and more about the things that I thought were healed that weren't healed, more about the things that I need to be better at. I need to be more conscientious in this area. I need to be more just calm, more understanding in this area. And so as I'm learning different things about myself, respect is one of those things that never changes. You either respect yourself or you don't. And so as I was learning and listening to these things, a lot of them talked about different ways that people had respected themselves. And the message might have been about something totally different, but the thing that stood out to me the most was respect. And so I have three things. I always like to come up with three things, and it spells par. So, which is why it says, is your respect up to par? And par stands for, is it purposeful? Is it something that is anxiety free? And is it something that you need? It's something that you need to remember. So you're remembering, you are anxiety free, and you're purposeful. And as you're doing that, here are three things that will be helpful to keep you respecting yourself. The first one is to remember that faith kills anxiety. That's not my quote. That's something I heard early in a podcast. And I cannot remember the young man's name, but it's on HI, Hardly Initiated. Sorry, I'm not trying to throw out names, but that's what I was listening to earlier. And one of the guys who's the host of the show said that faith kills anxiety. And that's something that I think a lot of us don't understand when we're respecting ourselves, when we're learning to love ourselves. Sometimes we get anxious in different situations because we don't know how the outcome is going to be. We don't know if we're going to end up with this person, if we're going to end up at this job, if we're going to get the things that we pray for, which we will get the things we pray for. It might not look like what we think it's going to, but we will get all of the desires of our heart according to, as long as we are being fulfilled, as long as we are doing something that's right, it's not becoming an idol, and it's something within our purpose, God will fulfill all of our desires. And so I think it's important for us to just be anxious for nothing, like the Bible says. When we start to get anxious, when we start to feel like, oh my gosh, there's no other good men in this world, then you start to think in lack. You start to let fear run your life and anxiety, instead of remembering that you respecting yourself, regardless if you're with somebody or not, means more than you giving in just because you want somebody. You just being calm and trying your best at a job interview is better than you just settling for the first job that gives you an opportunity. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take a job if you don't have one and God is saying you need to work somewhere to make money. I'm saying that don't just settle for a job just because you're letting anxiety rule your life and fear rule your life, instead of actually having hope, instead of having faith, instead of knowing and respecting yourself enough to say, no, I deserve better than this. I deserve better than this job, because I have experience, because I know what God placed on the inside of me. And better doesn't always have to be salary wise. It could be you're off every weekend, so you get to spend the weekends with your family. It could be you don't have to work overnights, and so you get to actually be up in the morning when the bus comes. You get to actually get your kid off the bus when they get home, or whatever else it is. It's something like that will be the thing that is more. And you not settling allowed you to have that in your life. You not settling for the first guy that comes along is going to allow you to actually wait for the guy that God has for you, instead of being anxious and saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't know, I don't know if there's any other good men." And men, it could be, "I just don't know if there's any good women. I see so many women doing this and that," and then the women in the Bible is not setting a good representation, except for Proverbs 31. But I'm just saying, and so you hear all of these stories for men that are biblical and for men in the world in general, and it's just like there just ain't no good women. Women only want to use you. They only want to do this. When you think like that, that's the type of woman you attract. You really got to think in abundance. You really can't be anxious for anything, and you have to vet people properly. You have to know what it is that you actually need in your life, and not just, and what your vision's going to be, what your legacy going to be, so that you know what you're actually looking for in life, so that you can actually go for those things and not just settle for anything, so that you don't just get so anxious and say, "Well, it's been a year and I still haven't found nobody." It's been a year because God's still prepping you, not because he just wants to make you wait for no reason. And the person is waiting on you. The person that God has for me is sitting around waiting for me, and I've just been trying to get it together. I'm so sorry I'm making you wait so long. I know I said it like that and in a jokingful way, but seriously, TG said something in one of his videos last week, I think, and he said something like, "We keep saying we're in a waiting season the whole time God is waiting on us." And it's true, because I got a lot of work to do. I do. And every time I think I'm ready, God shows me, "See, you still a little raw in the middle right here. You still are anxious in this area. You still have some wounds in this area. You're still not healed in this area." And when God sends a man who's supposed to be a part of my life, the man that God has for me, I don't want to be taking anything out on him from the past. I don't want to be just having PTSD. I don't want to have triggers that are just making me treat this man the way that God never intended for me to treat him. I want to make sure that I'm healed in the right areas. And I might not be 100%, but I want to be good enough to where when this man is praying for me, I can actually be prepared. I want to be in a position where I'm actually healed enough to know that, okay, this guy is not perfect, but he's exactly the man God sent in my life. I need to be in a place where I'm like, okay, I don't need to be anxious about worrying about whether I'm going to be perfect or not, because in a past relationship, I had to be perfect all the time. And I couldn't have any flaws. I couldn't do anything wrong. I had to always be on it, and it was exhausting, and it was really tough. And so now when I meet certain people, if I'm not being perfect, I don't say anything. I kind of completely shut down sometimes. And I won't voice my opinion because I'm like, this isn't going to be a big deal. This person won't care about this. I start to just really just like recoil and kind of shut down a little. And so I'm really working on being able to verbalize the things that are bothering me or what's going on, and not just using that person as a therapist, but being able to be vulnerable enough to share those things. And so that's what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to make sure that I get to a place where God knows that I'm ready. And only God knows the time of when I will be in a position like that. I don't want to rush anything. I don't want anything prematurely, because I want it in God's time. I want it at the appointed time. I don't want to get a blessing too soon, because that's a curse. So I think it's important for us to wait patiently and really respect ourselves. The next thing is taking care of business, being in purpose. I should have did these in order, but we just gonna keep going. So you got to know what your purpose is. In order for you to respect yourself, you got to really know where you're headed. If you don't have a sense of direction for your life, if you don't know what it is that you want to accomplish, the things that you want to do, if you don't have focus in your life, it's going to be really hard to respect yourself, because you're going to feel like anything that comes along is good enough. If the job is outside of your field or it's not prepping you for the position that God's trying to put you in, you're just going to be there for no reason. And so that's not aligning with your purpose or your vision. It's not aligned with your future. So that is like disrespect in a way to God, because it's like, my plans are better than your plans. Instead of saying, "No, God, your plans are better than my plans. my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and just letting God just take control so that he can guide you on the path that he has set forth for you. And so I think when you really know what your purpose is, it really allows you. And I'm going to sound real corny right now, but yes, I did say TCB, taking care of business, because like Prophet Aretha Franklin said, RESPECT, find out what it means to me. No, but seriously, when you know that you respect yourself, when you know that you really have a vision and a purpose for your life, when you know what direction you're headed, you won't just settle for anything. You won't just fall for anything, because you know what it is that you need in life. You know the direction that you're headed. You know what you want your future to look like. You know that if I entertain this job, I'm going to miss out on the real opportunity. If I entertain this guy, I'm going to miss out on the right opportunity. If I entertain this object because I think this is the best that's come along, I'm going to miss out on my Porsche 911 coupe. You know, things like that. You can't just settle. And I'm not saying if you don't have a vehicle, you need to go buy the most expensive thing. I'm saying that if you know that you're working hard and you don't just buy a car just to buy a car, buy the car that you want. When you're budgeting and your finances allow it. I gotta put that in there, because some people are gonna be like, I'm gonna go buy a car right now. Not right now. Do not buy no cars. Sorry, car people. I'm not trying to like diminish or like make people not be able to do that, because people are gonna do what they want regardless. Most people are not gonna listen to what I'm saying, and so you're gonna be fine. But I'm just saying that if you really want whatever it is that you want in your life, you gotta know what your purpose is so that you can go for it. You use your purpose so that you can get to your dream. When you really, really aspire to have things in life, no matter how ridiculous it may sound, when you say it the first time out of your mouth, keep repeating it, because eventually you're going to get it. You don't have to worry about what anybody else is saying or doing. This is about you and your purpose in your life. You have to stay focused and respect yourself. The third thing, remember that God got you and God is waiting on you. Sometimes we forget that when we do something wrong, when we lose the respect for ourselves, or we do something that's beyond what we would, the standard that we hold ourselves to, we feel like we can't go back from it. We feel like, oh no, I made a mistake. I can't do nothing else but wrong now. Like, no, you could do right. You could be like the prodigal son and you could just come back. God is waiting for you with open arms. He's not just like some mean person that's like, oh no, you messed up. I'm the king of holding grudges. I cut people off like it's my job. Like, God's not sitting there doing that. He's like waiting for you whenever you're ready, because he loves you regardless if you love him. He knows you regardless if you know him. He is waiting on you with open arms, ready to accept you for who you are. You don't have to wait to get it 100% correct. You don't have to do everything perfectly. You just have to come as you are. You just have to be ready to give him your life. And ready doesn't look like, okay, well, now I've got 6 figures. Let me go sign up with God. It doesn't look like, okay, I quit smoking a week ago. Now that I've been a week without smoking, let me go whatever with God. I don't care if you just smoked a second ago. Now it's been a second. That's in the past. That's no longer what's going on in your future. If you want to quit whatever it is that you're doing, give your life to God right now. Like, you could have, your flesh could have been weak. You could have did something last night. You could have did something 5 seconds ago. I don't know what your story is, but God is like, I'll take all of it. He doesn't care how messed up you think that you are. He doesn't care what mistakes, missteps, what things that you've done wrong in your life. He just cares that you are coming to him. That's it. You don't ever have to be perfect. You have to always remember that God got your back. That he is not just sitting there judging you. He has this grace and mercy unlike anything I've ever noticed in my life. The type of grace that he gives us is like nothing I've ever been able to experience before God. And people might not forgive you. People might hold grudges, whatever else, but God does not hold grudges. His forgiveness is as far as the east is from the west, as far as the deepest levels of the sea. And we have to remember that he is just waiting on us. As long as we are respecting and honoring ourselves, and we will respect and honor God, we are doing everything that we need to do. You have to remember to respect yourself and why you're doing it. You have to remember what your purpose is, that you're doing it for a reason. You have to remember that to be in purpose, and that anxiety is not going to help you. It's going to harm you. You have to have hope and faith, knowing that even if you can't see a solution that is coming, you have to know that no matter what anybody else thinks, you respect yourself. So I definitely didn't want to be on here too long. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.